Thank you ever so much for joining us for this ISTQB Women in Testing panel discussion. A tiny introduction to Women in Testing. It's an ISTQB initiative that's been going for a couple of years now, and it was an initiative that was launched to give women's voice some type of platform to be heard. It's about advocacy, it's about sharing stories, it's about discussing the challenges and also looking at some of the solutions. We're very keen to inspire some of the ladies here, but also perhaps to inspire some of the men who are listening to think about, some of the changes, some of the attitudes, some of the perhaps, latent beliefs that may affect how women actually can really contribute in the workplace and succeed. Hello, everybody who's just arriving. I'm going to stop talking for a moment and pass the microphone on. So, ladies, can you introduce yourselves and perhaps just give some insight into why you're motivated to join this panel?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Irija Strauss. I'm coming from lovely country of Croatia. I've been in testing for 15 years, and my motivation to join this panel is, first of all, I was happy I was invited to join this panel, so it would be rude to say no. But on the other side, I think we are still far away from our goals, and that's why we need to not only talk about these topics, but act to make things better. So that's my motivation.
And hello from me. My name is Ana. This is my first year actually in this conference, and fourth time that I have a different role here. It was true pleasure when this idea came in. Due to I'm already working as a QA for 10 years, and 2 years I am actively taking part of the Women in Tech in Macedonia, which when the SEETEST conference came to me and said we will have a Women in Testing panel, I could be not more happy and how to say no to this, where I could share how much we put effort for women everywhere, especially in the Balkans. And yes, I'm from Macedonia. So, Claudia.
Hi, everybody. My name is Claudia de Souziger. I am a tester for 26 years now, tester at heart. And in all the time, I'm trying to promote women in testing. And now that I've risen up to my role as ISTQB president, I'm happy to support this initiative because I think it's really important that we talk about it and that we promote women and help them into the position and into the jobs.
Thank you, ladies. Just by way of introduction, I was reading a McKinsey report this morning, and it's actually some statistics from the US. So it's the workforce report for 2024. And to quote, over the past decade, there have been important gains for women, particularly in senior leadership. This is across the workforce. And this progress really matters because the research shows that women in leadership and women who are actually in employment contribute to a healthier culture, stronger performance, greater innovation in organizations. So lots of positives there. And then it went on to say, however, the progress is fragile. I thought an interesting word to use. And it will take 50 years to gain parity in the workforce for women. A statistic which shook me a little bit. So I went to some UK data, and it said 47 years to gain parity. So just to set the scene a little bit there, there does seem to still be an issue with, let's call it gender inequality, or with inclusion of women in the workforce. So throughout the session, I'd just like to explore that a little bit, but also, as well as looking at some of the challenges, let's think about some of the solutions, some of the experiences you've had that might help move things a little bit forward. So let's get started here. And Irija, I'm going to come to you first. So if we have a look at the industry now versus the time when you started your career, what are the most notable changes you've seen with regard to equality and inclusion?
We actually didn't talk about it. I wasn't aware about the gender gap, especially regards to salaries. And the change around me is that we became aware of that and we started doing something, at least around my area. Maybe I can share some data which is relevant for Croatia, because a couple of months ago in Croatia, credits to Tabu. That's a platform that collects data about the salary. So you can go there, and they were doing a survey, and they shared the results that shocked me a little bit. They shared that salary gap between genders is really interesting, and it gets worse from middle to senior position when it comes to development and quality assurance. For example, in middle positions, you have difference 4.75%. So let's say around 5% difference, which is okay. Not so bad, but with seniority, it grows to 15, up almost 16% of the difference. Of course, not everything is it's not in every position like that. So women have better salaries in some areas like content creation or human resources, and this difference is approximately 9% or something like that. But what shocked me the most is the biggest gap, which goes in favor to men, and that was in Android development, so mobile development. That was 40% difference. And data they collected, it's significant amount of data. It's not like only one entry, so I don't remember how much of data they collected, but that really shocked me, like 40% difference for mobile developers, so really weird. What about
Macedonia, right? I will give how it started all for me. I have an interesting story here to tell. Already some of the girls know the story. So it's like when I was choosing which university I would go, I came home and I said I go to an electrical university. And then my granddad, because this is still something in our community, said, "Girl, what you're going to do in electrical university? Like, are there any girls there?" You know, it was how you're connected, currency, electricity, what he has to do that with girls, because for him, the imagination was that I will go and do some stuff, I don't know where, what. And then I said, but granddad, is going to be just telecommunications, you know, television, mobiles. And then my granddad said, but still, what you're going to do there? So he was not clear. However, I went there, and I might say that the number of girls, the ratio versus men, was lower. You could see that. It was like maybe 20 men versus 10 girls, so it was like double less than the men that were in the university. And this was 2010, so it's not that far away. It's only 15 years. And then, actually 2012, if we are precise. And then what is happening 4 years later, I'm finishing my university and I finish it strong. I became something there. I like physics, I became demonstrator, and I come home, and my granddad, again, understands something does not understand, but he's like, you know, this is my granddaughter. She is like a demonstrator, and he was extremely proud of me. And then I raised this initiative. I became in the IT sector. After finishing university, I immediately start looking for jobs in the quality assurance. It turns out that there is where I had some talent, I guess. And it went great. I must say that it was easy. I found job after 10 days of applying, so there was no any issue. However, we are talking about statistics, and I have one positive. It's not that bad all. So it's like, when I started, like I said, the ratio was double less women versus men. Now, in 2020, we are speaking about statistics that are almost equal in favor for a woman, if not. For example, for Macedonia, in digital marketing, in 2019, we had 55% women versus 45% men, which showed that in these 10 years, things were changing. And then maybe Debbie will ask how, and I will explain. Are you moderating now? No, but that I will leave this story for later. But I want to say that there are positive things. Still, we have, I think, issues with women taking step in these leadership positions due to still here the rate is in favor of a man. Still, when it comes to salary, I don't think that women are aware how powerful they are, and there are opportunities that they can take, and they can fight, they can ask to have the salary the same. Working for a Swiss company, in my case, this is pretty much equal. And I'm fighting, fighting, once again, is a strong word. I want to share these experiences that is possible there during this type of events and communities. Here I will stop. Claudia?
Well, coming back to the original question, when I started out, there were very, very few women. I remember having meetings where I was the only one. You have like a huge table and a lot of men sitting around and you were the only one. And that definitely changed. So the percentage of ladies working in software IT and in testing altogether really grew up. In Germany, we're not even close to 50-50, not even at the university. I think in EE, when I studied, it was like out of 200 students, there were 2 girls. And I think right now perhaps they're up to 5%, but not that many more. And even in computer science, I think 18%, 20%, that's it. So it's very different, and it's interesting to see the differences, but it has been improving, that for sure.
So lots of themes there, actually. There is, a cultural theme and how things are changing. So moving from perhaps, granddad thinking this is not what a woman should do to absolutely, celebrating the success. And I think that's great news. And I hope that the audience have got similar, experiences now where actually, women should be entitled to certain levels of education and, given the opportunities. I just want to come back to that. And how was it when you went for your first job? Again, if I look at the report I was reading earlier, and it's the US, so very, very different, and I know it's similar in the UK. Women come out of computer science degrees in the UK, have quite a high volume. It's very well subscribed. But getting onto the first rung of the ladder can be quite difficult. So women with, good degrees, and perhaps some good experience even for new grads, perhaps still struggle a little bit more than some of the gentlemen applying for jobs. Is that the case here? Anya, I'll pass this to you first because you brought this up, this whole cultural aspect.
Yeah, so when I was starting applying for jobs, I really much didn't feel that. But then it turns out that yes, actually, I think that the problem was that women were not taking the step, maybe because already this stereotype was set. I mean, stereotype from now speaking, but then it was present, like women were not given the same equality rights as men. And during these years, how this changed is, I think that the support in the IT, because the IT in Macedonia came as recognized with very nice salaries, motivated the women as well to try this a little bit more. And then I was saying that there are a lot of experience where as well the men were supporting their wives, I'm speaking from my generation, of course, to try to do this stuff, to go and apply. So for the starting point, I think it was difficult, yes, because the women should have more great results in everything to show them off that they are worth it of this position, versus if the man came, then it's very easy, it's very flexible. But again, 10 years later, for example, we are speaking almost with the same ratio, and that is where the success came. But it's because I think that the salary were, again, given, not the same, but still, yes, high. And that was the motivation for women. Okay, let's start, let's switch. For example, teachers, there are a lot of women in the teaching, professors, and they said, okay, we are just going to switch. I'm just enough for being a teacher. Why? Because I can try, I can prove that I'm worth it, I can do this. And they go, they try, and they succeed actually. They prove that are good. But for this to happen, we have, for example, my professor in university, I have an example of a great woman role. She started from fixed telephony and stuff like that. So it was and she's now 70, and she's rocking still speaking about Internet of Things. And she's she was speaking to 20 men in the classroom, and now she's speaking to 20 women in the classroom. But she's an example. She was one, doing the way, doing this, motivating people, go and get it, you can do it. She's as well a mother, she's as well a wife, she has an example of everything. and she's a great professor. She's 70, she's still learning. So we had a lot of these role models, example in my case at least, and I think this is what I'm trying as well to do, you know, just going to the pattern and just motivate people and not to be scared, just go and apply, try to this. We're still fighting with the salaries, we are still fighting with the leadership positions, but the equality is showing there. So.
Yeah, I'm going to pass to you in a second, but I just want to go back to salary and this gap, and also the question about moving into leadership positions. So, you know, the title of the session is Challenges and Solutions. So for the ladies and some of the gentlemen out here who may be thinking about salaries and, you know, how do we give that parity? Are there any kind of thoughts you have about how women can, you know, ask for that raise? You know, please, can I have a raise? You know, how can we address that?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm the best person to actually answer this question, because I have to admit that for the first couple of years of my career, I didn't ask for a raise, like 5 years or 4, something like that. So that was the first mistake. But first of all, I would say don't say please, because you're not, like, I'm not here to beg anybody to give me something. I earned it. So how to earn better salaries? It starts from expectations. If you know what your boss is expecting from you, then you fulfill or exceed those expectations, and you come and sit at the table, like organize one-on-one and ask the question. And I was thinking, like, how did I ask the question? I didn't ask the question. I just said that I think it would be fair, but not fair, that's also a word I wouldn't use, but it would be good that we talk about the conditions, the salary. I met goals, like, can we talk about it? If not, can we set goals or expectations? What should I do to get better salary? So I did that a couple of times, it worked, and also ask, like, I want this. So, but can I ask somebody from the audience, maybe some from the men can share me how they would ask this question, because I'm sure that I'm maybe not the best person. Do we have some volunteer? Like, no way. No way.
Sharing my secrets.
Like, how do you ask for a raise?
Hi everyone. Is this working? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, you're actually, and before I go along with this, this is not the only way. This is how I feel you should ask it. That does not necessarily mean it's the only right way, but actually you were on the right track. So each and every one of us has some sort of a manager, and each and every one of us is actually doing our jobs, performing some actions that need to define, we need to define some goals, we need to perform some actions, and that will get some results. Product is delivered in our branch, massive outages are avoided, etc., etc. So what you said, it's kind of correct. You set up a meeting with your manager, you ask, okay, I want to progress in this company, I'm learning, I will always learn, and I want your help to help me, how can I reach my personal goal, which is to get to this position, or this salary, or something else. So you don't demand anything, you actually ask, how can you as a manager help me to achieve my own personal goal? Now, of course, that's nice in theory. It all depends on who actually your manager is. If you are lucky and you have a good manager, basically this is how it will go. But if not, sometimes you will have to step up and maybe go over your manager if it doesn't work okay.
Just before we pass over to Joelle. Just quickly, there's a poll open on Accelerant. I think it's about to close, or is this closing now? But if anybody would like to just take part, please do so now. It's some questions about women. So, Joelle, over to you.
Yeah, just to share my experience. So I have 26 years in this market, and I only asked for a raise once. Okay, so I don't really believe that we should ask for a raise. I believe that my work should talk for it, the results. And when you reach the point that you need to ask for a raise, that's already too late. So the only time that I ask for a raise, I ask for 20 euros raise. So 20 euros, that's nothing. And at that moment, when I asked for the raise, the decision was already taken that I should move to a different company. So that's already too late. So we should not ask. That's what I believe. If you work for a manager where you need to ask for a raise to get it, my personal advice, you always have the choice to change the manager, right? So it's always on your hands.
Joelle, I'm just going to challenge that because I'm going to hand over to Claudia to ask about maybe that first step going into a job and the salary negotiation. You know, how does that work? But just to look at the point you make, you know, that's great if you know that you're on, you know, the word we use is fair wage. But I think one of the challenges that a lot of women do have, and I think it's a real challenge, and maybe, you know, in some countries it differs, but sometimes the parity is not there to start with. So remember, the starting point for some of us, maybe, I just want parity. It's not even about a raise, it's about parity. And actually that can be quite a difficult discussion. You know, and I'd love to explore that with maybe some of the women in the audience. How on earth do you start to approach that? Because it's not easy. Claudia, maybe I can come to you. And, you know, that initial applying for a job, you're going through the interview process. They ask you what salary you expect. Now, I believe, anecdotally, that woman will go, well, I would like, you know, and it's usually a little bit less than what, you know, you chaps are looking for.
Well, just judging from my personal experience, I'm not quite sure, because when I studied, there were very few women, so I had only, besides one, I only had male colleagues, and we almost kind of finished together. So of course we were exchanging. Yeah, you're looking for a job. How much do you get? How much do you ask for? So this is where we leveraged. I didn't go into the job interview asking for parity. That thought wouldn't even come across my mind. I mean, it was just, I would like to have that one. And I think that the important point is to know what you can do. I knew that I was very well educated coming from a university. I was looking for jobs and I got several offers, so I was in the fortunate position. I could choose, and it worked really well. And negotiating salaries, I'm a little with Joelle. I have a regular meeting with my boss every 2 weeks, and we're discussing stuff, and he knows what I'm doing. I show him what I'm doing, so I'm trying to get his expectation, meet his expectation, exceed his expectations, and so far the salary increase was always offered.
But I wanted to add to Joelle, just the question here, where I'm challenging this, do you think that is the same how the manager sees women versus men? Then here is still the problem, you know. So if see your potential in the same way that sees the potential of your women coworker, does he values the same how you go to, and he recognizes, okay, Joel, great job, and does he do the same with your woman coworker in the same way, with the same points that should be achieved? And that's still something that is an if, you know, and only depends, you're correct about your manager, how he sees. But I still think that here maybe the things are played and the points, goals are in favor of men. Maybe, not in my case, but maybe.
I just wanted to add something, like practical tip, like what I did actually when I became a manager. Like first thing I started doing is talking about my team's salaries. I normalized that. I increased salaries when they needed to increase, but I was the one as manager, so I wish, like, please do that. As managers, You start the conversation. Make it easier for your team members. Another thing, also practical tip, which I would also like people to do. Like, women tend to ask for less when they interview. I noticed that. So don't give them less just because they asked less. Give them what is the fair in your range. So that works. We can help each other, no matter like if I'm woman, I'm man, whatever I am. Like, let's be allies in all of this. So let's be aware of our biases because, okay, I think that we don't look at each other differently because we are evil or we are just like that humans. I'm biased. I know I'm biased. And I will probably hire somebody that is more like me than somebody who is totally different. But I'm aware of that, so I remind myself about it. So, yeah.
Thank you. An interesting discussion. Can I ask, do we have the results of the poll yet? Yes? Let's have a little look at that. So the question, what do you consider to be the most significant challenges that women currently face? And let's have a little look at what the outcome was. Unconscious bias and stereotypes that hinder women's advancement in the industry, 54.55%. I've seen this poll done several times, and I have to say that that is quite a phenomenal figure. Quickly, unconscious bias and stereotypes, how has that impacted you, and what as women can we do, and men and managers, what can we do to help overcome that? Maybe it is unconscious bias often. Sometimes I think, people do not understand that subconsciously it's happening. It's not necessarily deliberate, it's not necessarily something they're doing on purpose, but how can we identify it, how can we overcome it?
Tough one. Self-awareness is a cool thing, so it helps me to be aware of my own biases, at least at some level, of course. And I don't know, stereotypes are always there. Like, we laugh at them, we are like, they're there, but sometimes we are not aware that we are maybe a stereotype, sometimes we are not. For example, when I look at the job ads, like, if I don't tick every box, maybe I will not apply. And then when I talk to my women colleagues, they also said the same. So it's my self-confidence, you know. And when I asked a friend, a guy, he said, I will apply. I don't know this, but doesn't matter. I will learn. And I was like, yeah, that's the confidence I wish I had at some situations. So I think that helps, like self-awareness and being aware of your own stereotypes and biases.
And for me, it's again the mindset. You should have a correct mindset. It's like, don't look at like men and women. I mean, you just set your goal by your own. So whatever you want to achieve, it's possible. It's out there. The resources are out there. You just go and fight. I mean, look for them. Do your own way. Like, do your best you can. Be your best. Just apply for that position. If you need to ask, in the end of the day, it's nothing harmful. You ask. If someone doesn't recognize that in you and you think you have it, make sure that you show enough that you are worth for it. So you do your thing, you do your job great. And then if you want some leadership positions, if you are manager positions, it's about, don't think I'm a woman. For sure they will not give this to me. So don't think like that. Just, I want this. I will do everything that is in my power to get this. So it's just change the way you look at this. I will say that.
Yeah, let me give you an example. When I joined the company where I'm working for now, they were looking for a manager to set up a new branch in Munich. And they didn't even consider asking me because I had small kids. And I'm pretty sure back then they didn't make that exemption for a man. And I said, I would like to have the job. I would take it. My husband would cut back his hours and I will take the job. And they gave it to me, but they told me that they were very surprised and they didn't even dare asking. So you have to ask for it. If you see the opportunity and you think you can do it, and I'm not saying that you have to leave your small kids with your husband. You can stay at home if you want. But if you think that you can do it, ask for it. It's a self-confident thing, it's a target thing if you want to achieve it, but just do it. Sometimes they are blocking themselves from supporting you because they think they're very kind. Yeah, so you need to go ahead and just do it.
But then this is very great. But someone as well, the woman, like, of course, kids. I think this is great that you pointed out. Like, yes, if you think that you can delegate your husband to be a wife, to be a mother, and then you have your goals and you're supported, like, go for it. Go for it. Just try it. It's great.
Thank you. I think we'll just ask the audience to comment on that also, please, in the last few minutes.
Yeah, can I just share one of my experience? Because I think it's really related with the bias. So this is a recent scenario. It happened in my own team. So I had a lady, woman in my team, and she was asking for another QA, another tester. And she said, I prefer to be a man. So she said that. So she said, I want a tester and I want it to be a man. And I say, well, we don't have that kind of requirements in our team, and she's no longer in my team. So as a manager, you can change something, right? And when you see this kind of bias, you have the power to change it. So every one of us, we can change it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We're down to the last 2 minutes, so please can I ask the panel for some closing words. So your final words of advice for men and women, and how we can actually try to move forward absolutely with, as the person in the audience has just said, where there's that bias, those stereotypes are not important. It's about actually making the opportunities for people to grow and to contribute, I think.
Final words, you say. I have a talk later, so I hope this is not final for me now. Honestly, I don't know what to say. No. Just like, let's start from ourselves and what we can change in our own environment. Okay, that advice goes for everything, but for this case, we can try. I think we need more men in the whole story, because it's not enough to only women support women. And I'm all happy that we have a mixed crowd here. I totally agree that it shouldn't matter which gender you are, of course. But I think that we are still not, data shows that we are not still there. And until this happens, we will continue having this kind of panels. We will also continue to voice out these topics, but also act. So, like, let's not make differences based on our biases or our genders or whatever. So, like, do actions, like, let's all be equal.
Yeah, and you have great, like you said, we need men as well. I will just share one with women in tech in Macedonia. We're doing WithCon, which is becoming already, I think, a conference. And there was surprisingly evenly men and women present on this conference. And I wanted to share. And actually the woman said, oh, so many men here. Like, we were surprised that actually men showed that much interest for a conference that was organized for a woman in tech community. And actually we get a lot of support of them. So what I want to say as final words, right, is that, once again, don't go with the stereotypes. Do you, be you. If you have a goal, you go for it, and probably you will make it, no matter man and girl. And I'm really surprised that we are in the 21st century, in the third decade, and we are speaking about these things, which, yes, statistics show that we need. But just go out there, opportunities are there. Don't think I'm a girl or whatever. If you think that you can do it, probably you can, and you will.
Last words from my side, from the management point of view or manager point of view, look at the competencies. I'm very happy for the comment. That is a very good thing to do. And from a personal level, be brave, just do it. Take that self-confidence and do it. Nothing, the worst you can do is fail, but what the heck? So try it, do it.